First team, second string. It's packed. It's a packed motherfucking show for you guys. It is. First and foremost, it has been a melancholy yesterday sports day, if that makes any sense. Yesterday in the sports world, people continued to get hurt in the NBA. LeBron James called out people in the NBA, called out the suits. Glasnow is hurt. DeGrom is hurt. The greatest pitcher in baseball, Jacob DeGrom. What else did I miss? Is there anything else that
Kawhi's knee. CP3 has COVID.
CP3 has COVID. It was just one thing after another.
The Mavericks imploded.
And there's a lot of information being put out about that, which is really interesting. And I don't know, because it'll be interesting to hear from you from the Dallas.
I got some for you.
Because, I don't know, because as an outsider looking in, I didn't know about Vulgaris, who, by the way, just reminds me of a Game of Thrones character.
The name?
Yeah, the name reminds me of, I don't know. It's just like, is that a Game of Thrones character? But he's coming into this picture, and it reminds me a lot of Jack Easterby, which plays for Houston, or who works out in Houston. Yeah, just like, quote. Well, I mean, I know how do you say his name? Vulgaris?
Vulgaris, yeah.
Vulgaris is an analytical mind. He was a professional sports gambler. The ESPN did an article on him, and then he mentioned how he wanted to get into sports. He lost all his money gambling, and then created an analytical system that helped him get back to the top, where he then he worked for a team for 1 year. It didn't work out, and now then he went back to gambling, and then somehow he got to Shark Tank, pitch Cuban, and Cuban loved it. And now Bob Vulgaris is, I guess, apparently, word on the streets is he's on the outs. But at the time, he was the number 2 guy, eclipsing the Donnie Nelson, president of basketball operations, who's been there since 1998 or 1988, if I'm mistaken. One of those. 98, who's been the GM who was GM in 2005 and then became president of basketball operations. And the great Rick Carlisle happens to be one of my favorite coaches of all time. And Luka doesn't like him either. It's a mess over in Dallas. It's very Cowboys-like.
Do you want to start off? We can start off with that. Do you want to start off with the
Let's do it. Yeah, we're already there.
Okay, so pretty much everything you said came to light in the Tim Cato article that came out on Monday, June 14th, for anyone listening further down the line.
Yes, so on The Athletic.
Mark Cuban, thank you. Mark Cuban responded with that on Twitter. He's very hostile.
Very hostile.
He said total BS. And so
total bullshit. I don't even think he said BS.
For the kids, BS.
Yeah, if you're a kid and you're listening to this, we say bullshit.
Yeah. Do your homework, respect your mom. Wear a helmet when you ride your bike.
Watch porn. Do drugs.
Yeah, right. So that all came to light in the article Tim Cato brought out on Monday. Essentially, he said Bob Vulgaris, or better known as Bob, around the NBA parts.
Bobby B.
Ex-gambler, like you said, convinced Cuban to give him a job. And over the last 3 years, he's essentially been like the one guy in the ear of
Cuban. He's Cuban's number 2.
Yeah. Well, no, he's number 1. Like, he's surpassing everybody.
That's what I'm saying. He's Cuban's right-hand man.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Game of Thrones. He's pretty much his what do they call the hand of the king.
Yeah, he's the hand of the king.
And so Donnie Nelson didn't take a liking to that, who has been there, like you mentioned, since 1998. And Donnie Nelson's been the one going to press conferences and whatnot, and speaks to the media and says, "This is why we did this. This is why we did this." Well, in reality, Bob Vulgaris was the one making all the decisions,
also making lineup decisions.
And yes, and so. Which is also a great point, because Rick Carlisle, your favorite coach, or one of your favorite coaches, has been there since 2008. And obviously the trifecta of Cuban, Nelson, Carlisle won the Mavericks their first title in 2011, and they'll always be loved in that city because of that. And then in steps this guy in 2018. He's just a gambler. He's not a people person. He's been on Bill Simmons' podcast a couple times. You can go back and listen to that. I have.
That's interesting.
I have listened to him before, and I didn't piece that together until maybe like 2 years ago. That this guy actually works for my favorite team now. And I hadn't heard anything about him until this year. I thought he was just like a guy who had a cubicle, worked in the corner, and he's good with his numbers. And I heard him every now and then. He would be like, "Okay, we're using our analytics department to acquire either like draft Jalen Brunson or Josh Green, who they did this past year,
Dorrell Wright.
Dorrell Wright, or trade for KP,
Yeah. So
things like that."
he's had a lot of say in a lot of different things.
Correct. And so he's essentially, like you mentioned, as the Suedo GM over Donnie Nelson. He's
Did you say Suedo GM instead of pseudo?
Suedo. I've heard.
I don't know. I just never heard it that way. I like it.
Suedo. Is that
Suedo.
Maybe it's like more of a clothing material? Suedo. Fake suede.
Hey, just pseudo. In Santi Street. Hey, we got Suedo.
That's probably what it is.
What's Suedo? Suede.
And so in that article, in 2020, because there were no fans in the stands, right? Scouts were able to hear everything that's spoken on the sidelines. And one of the instances was Luka yelling at Rick Carlisle, asking who's in charge, because Haralabos Vulgaris sits on the sideline with a laptop. And I guess he was talking to Carlisle, the head coach at the time, and was saying, do this, do that, do this. And Luka got fed up and was like, who the fuck's in charge, essentially. And another instance this past year, Haralabos was told Luka to calm down with a gesture, hands down, like, let's chill. Luka said, fuck you, don't tell me to calm down. And so, I mean, Luka's a fiery guy, as you see on the court. And so I'm definitely on his side because he's the one with the talent. But
that's no matter what happens.
That was in the article.
Yeah.
It's been dysfunctional in the front office apparently since that guy showed up. And like I mentioned in that Bill Simmons podcast, if you listen to him talk, very, very bright, very, very smart guy. ESPN, like you mentioned, just doesn't do op-eds on anyone, like
on gamblers.
Yeah,
they don't do op-eds on gamblers.
And so he just doesn't come off as a people person, man. He's just can't.
One of those guys who's super smart and thinks everybody else is dumb.
Exactly.
He's got it figured out. And he thinks, if it's not for Daryl Morey, this guy doesn't exist. And that's all it comes down to. And it's like there's a reason why Donnie Nelson leaves. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Mark Cuban hire this guy.
Before we get to that, in that profile, it was at one point he gambled $1 million a day, Vulgaris. So he's high-end stakes kind of guy. That's how he got his fame. And then obviously, like I said, that article came out on Monday. Cuban said, no, it's total bullshit, and ever since then, it's just been all downhill, right? And so on yesterday, we learned Donnie Nelson's out. And everyone is saying on reports, Shams and Woj are all saying he was fired on Sunday before the article came out. So they knew about the article beforehand. And Nelson and Cuban go back, years, 2 decades, essentially, because Cuban bought the team in 99 and Nelson was there in 98. And Nelson is like beloved in NBA circles because he's been somewhat considered like the best foreign scout the NBA has ever seen, because he found Dirk, he found Luka. He's known Luka since he was 14. And then he wanted to draft Giannis. He's known Giannis and the brothers since they were 12. And a draft night story came out about 2 years ago, which Cuban confirmed that Donnie Nelson wanted to draft Giannis in his draft year. Instead, they wanted the cap money to field a competitive team around Dirk in his waning years. And so essentially what they did, they picked 13th. Giannis went 15th that year. They picked Kelly Olynyk, and then they traded him away for the cap space. And then they ended up trading him for Shane Larkin. And so
Miami's very own, baby.
Yeah, Shane Larkin lasted 3 years with the Mavericks, and then he was shipped off to the Knicks.
What a pull, though, to be able to say, "Hey, I was trying to draft Giannis and I was trying to draft Luka." Like in that, I mean, if you draft Giannis, you're probably not going to end up with Luka just because of the chips falling how they're going to fall. And you ended up winning the draft in a sense between those two, because Luka is the better player essentially.
Yeah. I mean,
and better to win championships.
Look at the rest of their roster over the years. JJ Barea, Maxi Kleber, just to name a couple of key pieces in their teams, current and in the past, right?
Yeah.
Like foreign guys no one knew about that Donnie Nelson found because he's a good scout, great
He's a
scout.
grinder.
And he spent most of his year in Europe, and he found all these guys. Roddy Boubois back in the day, part of that
Sure.
2011
Yeah.
championship
But
team.
here's so now we're in a situation where Dallas is in turmoil, but lucky for them, they have Luka Doncic. So they got to figure it out. And they essentially have the player that everybody would want, not named LeBron James, or over anybody, because LeBron James is 37, or about to be 37. Kevin Durant is 33, about to be 34, eventually at some point. So, and Luka Doncic is fucking 23, or about to be 23. So, and going into his fourth year.
The thing we don't mention also is what happened today is that Rick Carlisle resigned, who, he's been the coach, like I said, since 2008. He's not known as a nice guy. If you listen to him in Raider interviews or interviews in general,
he's just my way of the highway type of guy.
He's kind of an asshole, right?
And
so he's also gone. So now they don't have anyone there, and like you said earlier, Vulgaris is probably out. So now they have all these spaces to fill, and all these guys were supposed to go to Slovenia to hang out with Luka while Luka gets ready for the Olympic qualifying, and so. Now what do you do, right? Now you're trying to piece it with, now you have the thing that everyone wants, like you mentioned, but who are they going to replace those guys with? So
well, that's the thing. It gets like, Mark Cuban said, because Rick Carl read the tea leaves. He had, because if you get, once Donnie Nelson's gone and you got to get a new president of basketball operations, the first thing the guy wants to do is wants to get his own guy. And the only way he gets his own guy is if you don't, the only way Carlisle was going to keep his job is if they got far into the playoffs. And that means they had to change. Because as it stands with their roster compared to everybody else's roster, that wasn't going to happen. So Carlisle read the tea leaves and he was like, I'd rather just leave now and not get fired, because it would be way easier for me to get a job. And, like you said, he's a person who is, persnickety would be a nice way of putting it. And he had issues with Jay Kidd and the bench, they figured it out. He had issues with Luka. There were tensions, and it's just like one of those things where at the end of the day, like, Carlisle's getting older and Luka is 22 and it's a young team and it makes sense to move on. And, the question is, where does Rick Carlisle go and who does Dallas eventually hire for the president of basketball operations? I don't know who they're going to hire for basketball operations. And they say, Cuban said, I'm not going to hire a coach until we hire somebody for basketball operations.
Yeah, but he's going to let the GM hire the
he's gonna let, which is the right move. And it's super interesting that Cuban just like got, deer in the headlights, he fell in love and it was lust, and he just went in on all this analytical stuff. Because because it's important. It is, NBA analytics is important, but it's been proven that you need the right guy to put the pieces around, and they have that right guy. So they have an opportunity, and there's only 3 or 4 guys that you can do that around. And even those guys will need help. Jeff Green needs to score 27 for Kevin Durant in his 49 point masterpiece for it to really, win. So it's going to be interesting what happens. And
and to further that point, I don't think Cuban's just like getting on analytics because it's cool. I think he sees an opportunity there. He's done that several times in Dallas. He came in 1999 and was like, let's make the locker room better. Why isn't the locker room at a state of the art? Why don't we have 2 trainers per player? So he increased the staff. He's, like I said, he's hired coaches. He's done that with like literally every business he's ever been in, right? He's taken opportunities where it is because he can spend the money to increase value somewhere else. And so he did that with analytics, and I think it's just another kind of wave of doing that. What's interesting is that Donnie Nelson wasn't on a contract. So they were in such good terms that he was like, "Oh, we're not going to put pen to paper. We're just going to have a handshake deal. So we'll just, amicably. What's the word? Amicably.
Amicably. I can never say it.
Yeah, they part in a nice, cordial way, which this didn't seem to happen. And so it's going to be interesting, like you said, when they find someone, you're actually going to have to treat it like not as a buddy, but as like a business relationship.
I think that'll be fine. I think really for me, I also am curious where Carlisle goes. So I think there's only 3 places.
He's got anywhere he wants.
Sure, but like anywhere he wants. If
there's
they
6
were
openings,
open, right? But yeah, but it's also like fit, right? So when you look at the teams, the top 5 teams in the West, Dallas is one of them, so that's out. The Clippers have Ty Lue, so they just hired him.
They can get fired real easily.
Denver is I mean, Ty Lue could get fired really easily, but they just won game 5 and they're up 3-2. So it's like, when you look at the Nuggets could fire Mike Malone, but they haven't done that yet. So that could be a place if they were to fire Mike Malone.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, it's on my list. My list is Milwaukee, Portland, and Washington as the 3 options for him that I see him going, because those are vet teams with vet guys, and it seems like Rick Carlisle. Also,
I don't think he takes Portland's job because Terry Stotts just got fired. Terry Stotts was worked under Carlisle.
Was his assistant. Yeah, was his assistant. Funny enough, Terry Stotts is the guy that told him to pump the brakes on Jason Kidd. But the whole, like, even Phoenix, you're not going to fire Monty Williams, and Quinn Snyder's not going anywhere. So the best 5 jobs in the West are gone. You have Milwaukee. The Milwaukee job is probably the job he's going to end up taking, because you have Giannis, and you can try to figure something out with Giannis. But you're not going to – Doc Rivers is not getting fired. He just got hired there.
Yeah. And Carlisle was like the head of the coaches association, right? So anytime a coach gets fired and there's a grievance to be filed, he's in charge of that. So he's not going to go anywhere where he disagrees with the firing of the previous guy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think Milwaukee, like Coach Budenholzer, there's had opportunities. I think he's going to get fired if Milwaukee doesn't do it. I don't think Milwaukee's going to do it. So
yeah, he's going to get fired.
So I think Milwaukee's the shoe-in.
It's probably the place for him. Maybe Boston, but that's also a young team. But I mean, he respects Brad Stevens, who, like, I'm sure.
That's a good one too.
So Boston. But all right, let's do Stan Van Gundy. Let's keep it in the coaching vein. He got fired. I thought this is just one of those things that makes absolute sense for him to get fired, and that's 3, because that's 3 different places and 3 different franchises that are perennial losers. He's not going to get the best jobs in the league. It's just a different time. And he's just too old, and I think it was just time for him to go. It was just his time, because if Zion doesn't. Also, he said that these guys don't want to play defense. It's like, yeah, they don't. It's the regular season, and there's 82 games, and they have brands that they give a shit about. That's why the old heads are always talking about Jordan being the best.
I think we're going to talk about LeBron's point, but I think this season, like we've mentioned in previous shows, is this season's taken away on players, no matter how old you are, and I think that might be to the detriment of Van Gundy's system, right? Because
totally,
I mean,
ironically enough, but Tom Thibodeau's worked.
Well, the Knicks didn't play in the
bubble.
In the bubble, right? So like they're fresh.
You're right. Yeah, that's a great point.
So the Pelicans did for a little bit there, and so they had to hop back on the bus and back to playing in December, and so I think that takes a big toll on the body. And I think the fact that Zion is so good, teams are starting to realize that these players are better earlier. We need to start winning now, and that's the same thing with the Dallas situation, right? Whereas Zach Lowe made a good point on his podcast. I think it was yesterday or today, where he was like, hey, if Luka wasn't as developed as he was, maybe all of this doesn't get rushed, right? Back in the day, how long did it take LeBron to get to this point, right?
7 years, 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah, exactly. And Luka's already like top 3 in MVP voting.
Well, it took LeBron 3 years to get to the finals, but it took him 9 years to win one, because it's hard to construct a championship team, which is something that Dallas is going to find out. Like, as much as a guy like Luka is as brilliant as he is and looks like he has all-timer talent, it's still going to be really difficult to put a team together around you to win. Like, it's still like I think I don't mean to be that guy who goes, oh, it's a testament to LeBron James' greatness just because I think he's the greatest player of all time. I think it's very close to him. I think it's him and Jordan, but I think it's very close. But I still lean LeBron just because he's great at it's a multiple of things, and and he just makes it look easy. And I think other guys see that and they're like, oh yeah, it's easy. Like, I should be at every. But Giannis is not. Kawhi's been 1. Jimmy Butler went to 1, and he played he had a great series, and he played a legacy game, and then the next game he couldn't do shit. I think Luka's got a shot, but it's still just such a difficult thing to do, and I think they're gonna, nothing's perfect, and I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see because Luka, it's clear that Luka's not happy.
Yeah.
It's such a it's fucking it's
He was pissed off about
stupid to me.
He was pissed off about the Nelson news.
Yeah, he should be. It's
I have his quote here if you want me to read it. When I talked to him today, it was kind of tough to me. Dončić said during today's media availability in Slovenia. I really like Donnie. I've known him since I was a kid, and he was the one that drafted me. It was tough for me seeing that, but I'm not the one making decisions there.
Yeah. And this is the thing. It's criminally stupid to me to piss off the one guy who looks like he can actually do what LeBron James did. It's insane to me. Now, with the Stan Van Gundy thing, though, it is interesting. Like, you bring up the injury thing, and that's a really good point, and I didn't really think about that. But I'm looking at, the reports that Zion's family is unhappy.
I saw that.
No one should give a fuck what Zion's family cares about, right? This is the second generation AAU guys who have shoe deals. This is the second generation AAU guys who have to deal with a lot of money, like that bring in the shoe deals for these coaches, or get these coaches paid, or get these coaches to college jobs. I mean, some, right? Not always. It's a complicated system, but I don't know how complicated it is actually. But at a certain point, like, they are used to running a team. Like, LeBron James got a coach fired when he was 14, 15, about his sophomore year. He got a coach fired. So this is the second generation of those guys, and I think there's like a teetering point, and I think, like, dude, you're going to sign the extension, Zion, because you're going to be first team All-NBA.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there for 7 years, and then you can go. So if you want to go to
for Luka.
New York, after Luka signs the Supermax, 2 years into that, he's going to request a trade to the Lakers. And Mark Cuban's not going to do that.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying that's how it's going to be.
He's not going to LA.
You're out of your mind if Luka Doncic is not going to marry a Hollywood starlet. If that's
he's already got a long-term girlfriend, by the way.
What?
He's already got a long-term girlfriend.
She a vlogger? What does she do?
She's on Instagram. Check her out.
Fuck.
I think her name's Anna.
Fuck. I needed this guy to run into. He's famous in Hollywood right now. Who's a star.
He has a tiger tattoo on his forearm, but he ain't like that.
I need him to run into Addison Rae and fall in love, and then she say, "You should be a Laker," and then he'd be like, "Okay."
California just opened up 2 days ago, and traffic's already bad again. There's no way he wants to come to LA.
Dude, he it's fine. He had a helicopter. It's fine. Okay, so
we know how that worked out for some LA athletes.
Oh yeah. Oh, mean joke. Was that a joke?
That's not a joke. That's serious. Like, there's no way in hell he's getting a helicopter.
I was about to be like, it was a Portnoy-like joke.
Don't go there.
Yeah. Okay, so NBA, we're just gonna do the NBA playoffs. By the way, if I didn't say it enough, I feel like I forgot, but Stan Van Gundy is just too old to be a coach in the NBA. You should just stick to being a basketball.
He's a great analyst.
Yeah, he's a great analyst. All right, so the NBA playoffs, like I said 2 weeks ago, series are long. It's the story of this postseason. Teams have momentum and they lose momentum, and it feels like more than ever this is the year that teams will lose momentum and gain momentum within a series.
I think it's based on crowd size too, right? The variation.
Sure. I think that could be a part of it. I haven't really even thought about that. I've just been looking at it as like, this is kind of it's been a long season, and there's a reason I put an embargo down in the NBA, because they don't give a fuck.
Because what some guy's girlfriend went to.
Oh, hey, games? Yeah! Shout out to Mark Henry. That's my dog, Mark Henry Jr. Pick Central caller, Philly's own. His girlfriend was 27-0. Some say 30-0, but they weren't counting. When his girlfriend would show up to a game and they would win, and so they were undefeated. Now I don't know if they covered every game. They won every game. So why I chose Philly to cover that game is beyond me. I should have just bet on them to win, but I think they were like minus 250. So,
did they expect Tobias Harris to only score 4 points?
No, that's okay. Okay. Well, let's hold on to that. And we'll do the Kevin Durant game because it was a masterpiece. And in this game, I mean, they're down 102 to 80. They're down 20 basically, or 19, which is expected. But the people, there's 3 minutes. The LeBron Twitter people are going to be so annoying about this. They're going to do the same thing that they always do, which is he did it for one game. KD's done it his whole fucking career. He's a top 12 player all time. And
I'm sorry, top how what?
12. He's a top 12 player all time.
Okay. I was going to go higher.
You think what, top 10?
Oh, I think maybe like 6.
Oh, I think if he gets more championships, he's 6.
Oh,
I'm
know.
down
I
for
think
6.
Fuck the championships. I don't care about those.
Yeah, you're
anymore.
a big fuck the championships guy in the NBA, but in the NFL, you're not, which
personal stats from here on out. He's already good to go at championships, bro. He's got 3?
He's
4?
got 3.
Yeah, he's
only got 3.
Yeah, he's fine.
No, he's top 12 all time. He gets more championships. You know, it's also you play to win. We're just gonna argue about this at some other time.
Yeah. He's already good with championships, bro.
Sally, say that to him. He doesn't think he is. I think he's the greatest scorer of all time. But Giannis, like everyone else, needs help, and especially because he's a player that can't shoot. You need to. He's Shaq of his era, just super dominant. And I don't think there's like this can go 7, but Milwaukee's not going to win in Brooklyn. So, but you never know. I guess, right?
I mean, it really depends on Kyrie and Harden coming back, right?
It can, yeah.
I don't think KD is going to be able to repeat that, like, and have Milwaukee flounder like they did.
Well, that's the thing. Even right now, I mean, Brooklyn shot 30% from 3. They shot 45% from the field, and they had what? How many turnovers did they have? They had 14 turnovers. So, yeah. I mean, fucking Milwaukee had 13 turnovers.
Is it weird to say whoever wins that series wins everything?
Yeah, because Phoenix is. If Brooklyn's not healthy all the way, then Phoenix is the best team overall. They're the most balanced team overall.
I'm still not ready to do that with Phoenix.
I get you, but they're the most balanced team overall. I mean,
I'm close. I'm just not there yet.
James Harden still played good. Yeah, I mean, it's a toss up. I mean, it makes it interesting. I guess kinda. I think these playoffs kinda or whatever. But we'll move to. So Game 7. Who do you have?
Oh, man, I'm gonna stick with Milwaukee on this.
You're gonna stick with Milwaukee?
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, Game 3, if Kyrie doesn't go down, they lose.
And Harden doesn't look like himself. He tried to play their day, and it looked bad.
Yeah, he played better today. He got 16 points. He was super efficient, or he was super efficient at some point.
But it's not the Harden that we know of, right?
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, like, you're having the Game 7 is on Saturday.
Yeah,
it's Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, you get 2 extra days, and he looked better already with one extra day.
It's the hamstring.
Yeah, he's not gonna. But he's not predicated. He's not a. I think
he's the jab step. He's not gonna be able to do that.
16 points. He got 16 points.
Yeah, I mean, he's a gifted scorer, but he needs to be James Harden of no injury. James
Harden's not a fucking.
As someone who has a current hamstring issue, I know what it's like to.
Oh, I know.
I can't even shit
hurt a hamstring. Right now. Don't you hamstring me?
My hamstring hurts as we speak.
Right now?
Yes.
You're sitting down, dude.
I know, but I'm putting pressure on it because that's where the chair's at. I'm telling you.
Sounds like someone's fat.
Hamstring injuries.
Sounds like you're a fat piece of shit with the back.
You can't even take a shit without that thing hurting.
Man.
I'm telling you, I have used more Icy Hot this week than I can even. I mean, I bought 2 bottles and I'm almost done with the second one.
Whoa. I like your stop sign in the back. That's why I said whoa. Yeah, and also whoa to your hamstring thing. Okay. Yeah. So you got Milwaukee. I will just end up taking Brooklyn. And then let's do the Sixers collapse last night.
So funny.
I mean, just fuck you.
I love when Philly sucks.
You, Ben Simmons. What's up?
As a Cowboys fan, I love when Philadelphia sports just shits the bed.
Here's why. There's nobody better at being pieces of shit that are endearing than Philadelphia. A Philadelphia fan will say horrendous things. And you'll still be like, fuck, man.
No.
Kind of funny, though. Kind of funny.
Kind of funny. No.
He's kind of funny. He ate that shit. And he ran at the cop with a fucking...
You boo Santa Claus. You're on my shit list.
Yeah. Listen, Santa Claus, I don't know. He's full of shit. He has help and he acts like he fucking does everything on his
He's a
own. So
saint.
I'm with it. Hey, Santa Claus is a proletariat, dog.
He's a
No, he's a
saint.
bourgeoisie. Santa Claus is a bourgeoisie.
I don't even know what you're saying right now, but he's a saint.
Yeah. Okay. So the Sixers collapsed last night. Simmons uh, is the same issue that's been happening since he was his second year in the league, which is everything. Everyone has said the same thing. And when
He
you
lost Kendall
watch Ben
Jenner.
Simmons, you really do. Like if you watch Philly for an extended period of time, you'll be like, dude, this guy really can be something. And then he continues to not work, or it's a mental thing, which is what people say. And I personally, I've watched him enough that at one point I heard KOC's comment, Kevin O'Connor, who said he'd think he shoots with the wrong hand. And at one point I watched him and I was like, I think he does shoot with the wrong hand. And so there's that issue. But the biggest issue is you can't depend on him with 2 minutes left. He can't shoot. So that means he can't get a basket really by himself. And then also all he's doing in the last 4 minutes of a game is dribbling to a side and dropping a pass off. Mm-hmm. And then Tobias Harris only scored 4 points. Only Curry and Embiid scored field goals in the second half.
Oh, really?
That's it. That's
insane.
God, if Curry needs to get out of Philly.
Already,
he should go. He should get out of that fucking place. He needs to come to Los Angeles. Just live there. Nice. Be a Laker.
How about he teach his buddy to shoot? When is someone going to get Simmons' ear? You're not going to win shit unless you start shooting, and well.
He can't make. He's shooting. His free throws are. He shot 32%. 32%.
You know what was embarrassing watching the end of that the other day was that Trae Young and Lou Williams were playing at the same time. They are both known as abysmal defensive players, and they were playing at the same time. You know what? That's like the bitch slap of rotations for a basketball team.
Yeah.
No one in their right mind would play those two at the same time, and yet the Hawks were doing it to succession, right, or to success, right? Yeah. And so it's because they weren't scared of Simmons at all. Simmons has to look at the tape of that and be like, okay, they're shitting all over me.
And it's just the same shit over and over and over again. Like, if I'm Joel Embiid, I'm like, dude, what are we doing? I don't know why I was trying to do a Cameroon accent.
Even Embiid looked scared. He missed both free throws there at the end.
And he's dropped 37. There's not much more that dude can do. It really is kind of crazy to look back and think, man, they didn't want to trade like the Tyler Herro. It's not as bad as the Tyler Herro thing.
Yeah.
But to not want to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden, and
man,
I don't, and was it Daryl Morey who didn't even, was it before Daryl Morey? I don't even know. But if it's Daryl Morey, that's comical and hilarious.
No, I think that trade was about to go down, but then Brooklyn stepped in with a better deal.
Well, it's unfortunate because they should have put Ben Simmons in the trade, because as it stands right now, the Atlanta Hawks. By the way, I talked to a dude that's Atlanta, my buddy who lives in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I talked to him, and we were both right. Black people don't like baseball.
One guy.
But stop it. Come on. He lives there. I knew you would. I know you won't. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You're this guy. This is what I love about you.
At least 5 to 10 people.
Yeah, I know. You're this guy. This is what I love about you. I
need a correctly crowdsourced.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But he's saying the Braves are the number 1 team in town because they win. And then Georgia Bulldogs are number 2. But you disavowed that. You disavowed it, so it doesn't matter. Disavowed. But you disavowed it, so it doesn't count.
It's like asking someone who lives in Beverly Hills, how do you like LA? And then like someone in East LA have a completely different response.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying. There was a guy. I was trying to think of a joke, but I had nothing. All right, so what do we got? We got the Jazz and the Clippers.
Well, before we say that, I just
we're not done with Atlanta.
I want to leave the Sixers with a very nice comment. Tobias Harris is owed $35.9 million, 37.6, and 39.2 over the next 3 years, and that got 4 points.
I really thought he figured it out. I really
He was
thought
having a pretty good
Philadelphia
playoffs up until
figured
yesterday.
it out up until this point, because I remember thinking, okay, so they're just going to give Tobias Harris the ball with under 4 minutes left. I've even said it on the show. I was like, oh, they figured it out before the Harden trade. I was like, they have, they have an opportunity to beat Brooklyn because they have Tobias Harris, who can get a basket with the last 4 minutes left, and he can work with Embiid, and Ben Simmons can guard somebody and just like stand in the corner. Listen, there's a reason Kendall Jenner left him. I don't even like that joke.
He wouldn't even have to stand in the corner. Just stand at half court, bro. We're not going to use you.
Fucking be there with your dumb face. I don't like Ben Simmons because I don't like his face.
He always looks like Australian.
I don't like Australians.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
That's on record. That is on record. I don't like Australians.
And Mississippi.
Mississippi. Okay, so Atlanta has to put, and I think Atlanta has the killer instinct to do this. I think Trae Young has a killer instinct. Yep. He's got an awful hairline and a killer instinct. It's so bad. It's so bad that no one has taught. And it's so funny hearing him speak. He is like a 14-year-old. Every time I hear him at a press conference, I think that's a 14-year-old who can absolutely cook motherfuckers. But I think he's got the killer instinct. They're playing at home, which is helpful, right? Danilo's going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich is going to be more comfortable. Hasn't been playing great on the road. I don't remember his numbers last game, but for when I see Bogdanovich, he does really well at home. Damn, that was the only game today, huh?
Yeah. What I just want to see is a Coach Bud sweep the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Little revenge game.
You want to see what's up?
Little revenge game. Coach Bud just whip the Hawks' ass.
Oh, you want to see Milwaukee, Atlanta?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about Coach Bud. Every time I see his dumb fucking face, it's just like, huh? Yeah, Bogdanovich with 6 points. Like, he's gonna play better at home, so I think Atlanta's gonna win that game. I think. I mean, it favors the Sixers if it goes 7, because now they're at home, and Philly's crowd's gonna be electric. So yeah, I'll take Atlanta in 6. That's what I think's gonna happen.
Yeah, same.
All right, let's do Jazz Clippers. So, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Kawhi Leonard's out for the playoffs. But, I mean, Paul George went off. Playoff P was trending. They had themselves a game. It went down to the last 4 minutes. The Jazz, I think they shot well, if I remember correctly.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did there at the end.
The Jazz, yeah, they ended up shooting. They shot 37%. And then the Clippers shot 40%. It just came.
Yeah.
Paul
George was the difference.
Paul George was the difference. And actually, Marcus was the difference. Also, 25 points. Reggie Jackson with 22 points.
Yeah.
Terrence Mann with 13 points.
Yeah, Terrence Mann was huge there at the end.
He had like a soul snatching dunk. So it's like 25, 22, 37.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna win that game, and it was in Utah. So
and
now
everyone hates Utah.
Yeah, everyone hates Utah fans. I really like Donovan Mitchell. I like Joe Jingles Ingles. Mike Conley's still out. Kawhi's still out. Donovan Mitchell has to show up.
He was hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. He's not 100%. I mean, this is it. If the Clippers don't get moving on to the Western Conference Finals, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if
Kawhi's gone, right?
Well, Kawhi, Kawhi's a free agent.
Yeah.
So maybe he leaves, but he wants to live in LA. I don't know where he goes. I wonder if there's a team out there that has cap space that lives in LA, or that's also in LA. That'd be an interesting thing to see and just think about. And to
Dallas has cap space.
Yeah, but Kawhi's not going to play with a 22-year-old phenom who's about to take over the league. Why would he do that when he can play with a aging team?
Hey, Kawhi, why don't you become player coach? Kawhi Leonard.
You know what I mean? That's
call whatever fucking offense you want.
But we'll see what happens. If I still, regardless of what happens, it'll be Clippers Suns. Jazz Suns. Yeah. Either way, it just doesn't have a ring to it that it normally would have.
I do want to put some respect on Paul George's name, Playoff P, instead of Pandemic P. Like we mentioned, he 37, 16, and 5 yesterday. He's been averaging for the playoffs 25.9, 9.3, 5.2 on 46% shooting, 36 from 3, 90 from the free throw line. So that's he's kind of changing the narrative there for a little bit.
Yeah, he's been playing great. I will say he did have one night where he shot less than 25%, which was hilarious because it just brought his average down so much. But no, he's been playing great. He's been playing great all season, and he was playing great most of the season last year. And I think he is fine. Will they win the championship without Kawhi? Can they get to the finals without Kawhi? No. Can they beat the Jazz? Yeah, because Donovan Mitchell's hurt, and they got a good stretch from Marcus Morris, and they got a good stretch from Terrence Mann, and got a good stretch from these guys. Ultimately, I do think this goes 7, and I'm going to say the Jazz in 7. Just because you don't have Kawhi.
Oh.
I'm say Jazz in 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, if it's Phoenix, Utah, how boring is that going to be?
White guys across the world.
Are those the smallest markets in the NBA?
No, Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And San Antonio.
Oklahoma City and San Antonio. Yeah. God, white guys across the NBA are going to be like, White Republic.
TV execs are crying right now listening to this.
So pumped. Look, fuck you.
And then we got Milwaukee on the other end.
yeah. And then there's if somehow it's Milwaukee, Phoenix, or Milwaukee, Utah.
The commercials are just going to be tractors.
White guys everywhere are going to be like, see, we don't need fucking black dudes playing basketball.
Oh, my God.
Get me cheese, Leanne.
The one best player over here is Mexican. The other one over there is Greek. Like, we don't need these guys anymore.
Yeah, I like how also Greek. I mean, yeah, his nationality is Greek.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the fucking meat and potatoes of baseball. They're the big story in baseball that John has been on since before Ken Rosenthal was on it, dude. John was on it. It's the Spidertack story. Funny enough, you even mentioned, I think that you mentioned that Spidertack was created by a fucking world's strongest man. I think you even left us with that caveat. So now we have, and I just want to leave. So now there's now Spidertack or foreign substances will give you a 10-game suspension if the umpire catches you with it. I just want to add these little caveats before I let you go. Three of the league's highest hit by pitch rates since 1900 have occurred over the last 4 seasons, according to Stats and Research. Spidertack is still it's not the thing. The majority pine tar and a sunscreen and rosin mixture and bubblegum spit are more still commonly used. Apparently, that's what they say. And the Athletics' Eno Saris, who's a former major league pitcher, he test grips the substance this spring, and he said the spin rate jumped more than 500 RPMs, so 25%, after switching from sunscreen and a rosin mix to Spidertack. That was after switching from sunscreen and rosin to a Spidertack. So it's very interesting because it's clearly cheating, and the MLB knew. And to me, this is steroids all over again. But what do you think?
Oh man, as we mentioned, April 11th. Go back to that show. Very good show that we had when the whole Trevor Bauer news began. Spidertack is extremely sticky. If people have been going on Twitter, just type it into Twitter. You can find millions of MLB writers starting to use it and ordering it to test it. And so you unscrew it, and the lid sticks when you harry it just by the lid, and the rest of the container will stick to the lid without touching the lid. It's insane, this product. I think it's about time they started kind of cracking down on this, and they're coming for me now. Sorry. And so, right, like this is Major League Baseball intervening. They don't want me to talk about this. They don't want me to talk about this.
Mexican, get them.
And so, beginning June 21st, which I believe is Monday, they're doing what you said. They're starting
10-day
to suspend without pay.
And substance.
So pitchers right now are combating these outlines because they're doing it mid-season. They told them in April, as we mentioned in our show, in April and in spring training in March.
They're going to start cracking down on it.
No. That they were allowing them to use it.
Oh,
they were saying, hey, we're just going to take a couple balls, test it, see what we wanted. And at the time we mentioned that what they were doing is it most likely was Major League Baseball was trying to determine what substances are being used so they can determine a universal substance for all pitchers to use
Yes.
fairly. And so they went back on that essentially, and now they're just doing away with all of it. You can't even wear sunscreen in an enclosed stadium or a night game. You can't even wear sunscreen during those games. So they're like really, really starting to buckle down beginning on Monday, the 21st. And so a lot of pitchers are mad. As we mentioned at the top of the episode, Glasnow got hurt. The reason he says he got hurt is because he had to change his pitch grips. And so when you have Spidertack, you're able to pitch or grip as hard as possible because you have that extra substance there to allow you to control the baseball how you want to. Well, now that you don't have it, the baseball would be harder to handle, right?
Yeah,
You have to hold harder, which means therefore you notice as you grip harder, your tendons in your wrist become constricted more and more, which then goes down to your elbow. People are watching. I'm showing you the path of the arm, how it would develop. And so, of course, then as you move down the tendons, that goes to the elbow, and that's where he's hurt right now currently. And he's saying he has a partially torn, I can't pronounce it, ulnar colloidal.
Yeah, a UCL.
UCL, thank you. And so, which, is where you get Tommy John. And so right now he's not going through Tommy John. He's trying to, take 2 weeks off and then determine what he can do after that without going through this injury, this surgery that would, garner him out till August 2022. And so it's a big issue.
Real fast. Let me pause you there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is validity to what he was saying about guys being scared, guys being scared of control, guys being scared that they're going to have to, it's too much of a change for them?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very much so a change because you're used to throwing a baseball for some of these guys 100 miles an hour with guaranteed grip. And now what you're doing, and there's another part of this that we'll get to, now you're throwing a baseball without that grip. It's like try skateboarding with grip tape and then skateboarding without.
Yeah.
How fucking hard is that going to be?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like every kid in California grew up skateboarding. Like that shit's impossible. Or like when you're driving in the rain with bald tires and when you have grip on your tires. Imagine trying that. And you're only going like 40 to 50 to 60 miles an hour. These guys are throwing these balls 100 to 95 plus miles an hour. And there's also humans standing next to where they're throwing them. So a lot of the hitters are, and there was a union call where 40 plus representatives, obviously there's only 30 something union members, but they had additional players that were well respected. And they all agreed that sunscreen rosin, which is a combination that's been used back to the 60s and 70s, is a substance that they would be allowed to use still, because the hitters feel like, we don't want to get hit in the head, man. Like we want you guys to be able to somewhat control it, but not, like you said, use Spidertack where it ups the RPMs for each pitch by 500 revolutions per minute, right? You want to be able to up it just a little bit, enough to where you have some grip, but not to where you're having these outstanding results and where now we have 7 no-hitters in the first 3 months of the season. Yeah. And so that's the issue now, is that Major League Baseball is coming out and doing it mid-season when players as pitchers are now worried that now they have to worry about adjusting to the no substance rule, and then hitters are having to adjust to possibly getting hit left and right. And so there's an issue on both sides, and no one can agree on Major League Baseball side, not the player side, how to handle it. That's the problem, is the
suits, man,
is the initiation of the rule, right? And so Major League Baseball is saying, oh, well, we're doing this, we're giving you a couple days. And, some pitchers only pitch once a week. So like, no, dude, we need like months in advance. You should have done this in December. So we had all of, spring training in February and the months before the season to kind of counteract what we need to do.
I heard a great point, which is, man, there's power pitchers who've made their money on this stuff. You know what I mean? There's guys who are able to do something, and and like you said, these guys are afraid to get hurt. And I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with why the Giants hit 5 home runs, yesterday, but like
it could be,
it could be. It's super interesting. It's going to be super interesting to see. what happens.
The offense is going to take off in the second half. I commented on Twitter a couple of days ago because, as I've mentioned again on this show, the innings workloads for all these pitching staffs from 2020 to 2021 is doubling. So the fatigue is going to set in, and then now you're taking away the substances they, relied upon to kind of make their stuff look better. And so now these guys are tired. Now these guys can't control shit, and offenses are just going to go fucking crazy because, the pitchers have nothing else. They're tired, and like I said, they have nothing to control all these pitches they've developed with this stuff without the stuff now. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But if you have a good offensive team, expect that shit to go through the roof because the quality of pitching is going to go down.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing, and baseball's done this since literally 1900.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball tried to stop unions. Baseball made it. They said you're a communist if you want to be a part of a union, which is part of the whole argument the whole time for anybody in that situation. But baseball itself took extra long to do it. They didn't unionize until I think like the 60s. There's been an issue with baseball from the get-go, like the suits, the guys running it, which is weird because now they have like Theo Epstein, who is, he's vice president of something. Like he knows what people are doing in ballparks. They've known about this, and it just drives me nuts. This is the steroid shit. Like 5% of the people that they say that they know about were using steroids in the steroid era. Like 5%. I think it was higher, but whatever.
A lot of people say it was more than half.
Yeah. And so then, like we're just going to punish, all these players because of it. And baseball writers are still going to be like the most boring, people on the planet with giant sticks up their asses. And then,
whoa. There's a new wave of baseball writers that are great.
There is. I will say there are some guys. There are some guys that I appreciate.
I'd say it's a majority now. The ones that are younger, under than 40, I think are great. The ones that are like the Buster Olneys, Ken Rosenthal's, Jason Starks, all these white guys on ESPN and Fox are the guys who grew up in the era what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so baseball, it's just one of those things that baseball will do this, and it's such bullshit, and it just drives me nuts. And I don't know, like as a consumer, I just think like these guys are a poorly run organization. I think their marketing sucks. I think their rules stink. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just
they can't brand their product. They can't market their product. And this is the point I was going to get to, and I just remembered that I was like, I'll get to this later. Rawlings, the organization, the business, or the corporation that builds and produces all the baseballs for Major League Baseball, they're owned by Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
All the pitchers have complained that the baseballs are not consistent, right? Some go farther than others. Some are slipperier. I don't know if it's a word. It's a word now. Slipperier.
Slippery.
More slippery than others.
Yes.
There we go. Sorry, third grade
Shakespeare.
teacher.
We make up words too.
I'm sorry, Miss Tyner. I know we learned this already.
Yeah, Miss Tyner's out there like, fucking John.
Yeah,
I'm not listening to this shit anymore.
Slippery, not slipperier.
Fuck you, Miss Myers. You didn't teach me shit.
Yeah. And so they own Rawlings, and every time Major League Baseball is like, well, Rawlings didn't provide a good enough baseball. Bitch, you own Rawlings.
Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Another point to that is to why I think they did this midseason is to sorry, I was watching this baseball play. Outstanding move by Tatis Jr., which is a great guy. They can't market him. Sorry. I'm sorry. Apologize. The reason they did this midseason is because they wanted to use it as leverage for the next collective bargaining agreement that's about to expire in December of this year, December 1st. So it's another piece of leverage that the league can use towards pitchers, along with the universal DH, along with salary arbitration, along with the international draft, and then minor league players' salaries and things of that nature. There's going to be a work stoppage this offseason. This will be coming up again in December, and we'll talk about it then. It's going to be a problem, and Major League Baseball knows what they're doing, and they're doing it now because they want to use it as leverage by December. So It's another thing that they can use to kind of do that, which is why we don't have that universal DH like we did in 2020. They didn't want to bring it back to 2021 because they want to use it as leverage going forward.
It's
Yeah.
it's
And,
weird.
and on a bigger point, this is an interesting time in American sports because in the NBA, we had, like we mentioned, LeBron James going at league executives for, the players did agree to the season being shorter in terms of
They
days
had to, or
in
else they wouldn't
games.
get paid.
They had to, but there was a way to do it, and they didn't do it very well, right? That's
Yeah.
what we're just discussing, how players are getting hurt more often because of the shorter amount between games. And then the NFL just added a 17th game. The players weren't happy about it, and they're trying to get, but the league responded by only doing 2 preseason games, right? So technically, there's one less game that is being played. And so same thing in baseball, right? Like there's a disagreement between the Players Association and the league. It's happening in the 3 biggest sports in America. I don't know why it's all kind of coming like this. You would remember you would think what's the NBA commissioner's Adam how do I say it?
Oh, Adam Silver.
Adam Silver and the NBA Players Association, we thought had a great relationship. That's kind of gone down in the last year and a half or so, 2 years. And so, like I said, it's a big theme in American sports right now amongst the 3 biggest sports. I don't follow hockey enough to really know what's going on there, but it's just an interesting little tidbit between all those.
That's the thing, but it is at the end of the day, right? Like we have sports, but I always forget. I genuinely always forget. I'm thinking about my point, which reminds me of Bill Simmons's HBO show and the worst trailer I've ever seen.
Any given Wednesday or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think billionaires should pay for their own fucking stadiums. I always think about that every time I hear him. I'm like, dude, were you doing a Bull Durham speech? You're such a dork.
Yeah,
that's fucking Kevin Costner's speech. Get out of town. But it is that idea that I forget constantly is, dude, these guys are owned by billionaires, and this is a business that's created to make revenue. Like there's a reason why these leagues go far back, and then somebody with some brains said we can charge people to come to these things, and then communities built up, and they needed to make stadiums because they needed to fit all the people who wanted to come. You know what I mean? Like, and naturally it took its course, and you forget that billionaires only give a fuck about like the Cronkies of the world don't give a fuck enough about the sport. To them, it's business. They own 4 franchises, internationally and domestic, and they don't give a fuck. That's part of the deal, which is like, hey, we want our fucking money. That's why the NFL ownership group the NFL owners suck. The NBA owners suck. There's only a few, the Genie Bus family, the buses.
Well, even they went through issues, right?
Even they went through issues, but and they tried. They tried to fix it, but it's not easy to run a franchise. But like I'm talking about just like money. Like I'm talking about like the Bus family doesn't give a shit. It's not true. The Bus family isn't just so what's the bottom line as much as other guys are. Like Kroenke's a bottom line guy. Some of these MLB guys are bottom line.
A lot of them in Major League Baseball.
A lot of them. More than most. More than just like most owners are. It's rare that you get an owner like the Buses or the Maras or the fucking who owns the Steelers again?
Art Rooney.
Oh yeah, Art Rooney. Yeah, the Rooneys. And so it's rare, but that's part of the gig, and it's going to be. I mean, there's going to be a strike, like you said. It's probably going to be a strike.
Well, I mean, the same thing we had mentioned like a month ago with the Super League, right? American fucking sports franchise owners they just suck, man.
Yeah, they suck. Most of them suck because they're billionaires and they fucking own it, and they're gonna do what they want to do, and they want to make money because you can make such a fuck ton of money. If it meant the amount of money Manchester United makes every year at their shitty fucking stadium that people hate, and they still sell out basically every fucking game and then make a killing on, is the reason they're like, why are we gonna? Who gives a shit? Why are we gonna I forget who the family that own the Bucks, but the Glazers. Who gives a shit? They're gonna like, well, where are we gonna pay anything? And that's the issue. And that's why Bill Simmons is right. Billionaires should pay for their own stadiums. He is right, but he is right. Yeah, man. But yeah, it's gonna be
Speaking of the Super League, did we want to touch on the Euros at all?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do Euros before down bad, before caught down bad. Okay, so Christian Eriksen on what, Saturday?
Yeah,
Last
I think it's
Saturday.
that Saturday
Yeah, last Saturday, playing for Denmark, went down, um,
against Finland.
and against Finland, he went down in the 10th minute, and they had to resuscitate, or they're doing CPR, and then, I mean, he's fine now.
Thank
Are
God.
we clear as to what it was that?
Not to my knowledge. I've looked on Twitter as of today. I didn't see anything that they had
Yeah,
come
it's
out
just like
with. But he had a cardiac event, is what they're calling it.
yeah.
I happen to be at the bar I've always been at down here in San Diego with my buddy from Copenhagen, is Danish, and so the game was in Copenhagen, in Denmark, and huge game. Finland's first international game, by the way. They end up winning 1-0 when it was continued. So Ericsson goes down. First thing I see, people are attending to him. He starts having a seizure. They're grabbing his tongue. I was like, oh, this is pretty serious. Maybe it's a head injury. He was down for a while, and then we see like them pumping his, like a chest pumps, and that's when we got real serious, right? And then you see the players all very well done. Start guarding him from media cameras. ESPN, fuck you, ESPN. Terrible job of the camera work. Not only did you show Erickson down on the ground looking dazed and confused, you showed his spouse. I believe it's his girlfriend, but they've been together. They have 2 kids. And so just a terrible, terrible idea to even show her grieving on the field with the captain. Simon, I think it's Kajier. I can't pronounce his last name. And then Kasper Schmeichel was there as well, the goaltender for Leicester City, comforting her because they were still attending to Ericsson on the field. And then they brought out the defibrillator and pumped him once, and apparently that's when he came back because he was gone for a little bit from what they said.
Wait, I thought they didn't bring out the defibrillator.
No, they did that on the field, and that's when he came back to started beeping again. Because the time they started wheeling him out, he was up, kind of upright. The gurney was kind of positioned upright.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What I do want to shout out is 2 Finnish fans who were at the game. They went into the crowd to borrow flags to guard the gurney as it was being rolled out. 2 Finnish fans had huge Finland flags, and they turned them inside out and used it to guard so the media couldn't watch this guy. There was one picture captured that showed Ericsson like really dazed, like he had a concussion as he's being wheeled out, and that's what was being circulated soon after to show that he was alive, which was great news. And then what my buddy, like I said, he's from Copenhagen, so he knows that area very well. He's been in that stadium multiple times. And what he was telling me is that the hospital is across the street, the Copenhagen hospital. And so luckily, that's how he was able to get like great treatment early. They didn't have to drive him anywhere. They didn't have to bring the helicopter on the field. Nothing. They got him. They rolled him right across the street, and he was able. And that's, believe that's the hospital he's still at now. And so, like as you mentioned, he's doing well. He's been commenting to people's comments on Twitter. And he released a statement saying that he was okay and that he probably won't obviously play in this tournament again. No one cares about soccer at this point, right? Everyone just wants him to get better. My buddy was saying, I was asking him how big he was in Denmark, and he said it was the equivalent of Tom Brady passing out during a football game. So imagine how big of a star he is in Finland, in Denmark, if that's the case.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, they continued to play the game. They paused the game for about an hour and a half, and they came back to play the rest of it. Denmark looked just completely out of it, and we're like, why are we here? And Finland scored quickly thereafter, and it ended up taking the game. But scary moment to kind of, and that was what, second day of games, maybe the third game overall.
Yeah.
And so since then, luckily, we haven't had any big incidents in terms of injury, and it's been a pretty exciting tournament. I wouldn't say, we went over picks last week, but I would say it's pretty much gone how everyone's thought. All the big teams look good. All the younger teams, the inept teams look inept. So, it's just been a somewhat typical of a tournament, except for that Ericsson moment. Like you said, glad he's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And even today, I mean, there was a second where they scored quickly against Belgium, and you could just feel like, oh man, that feels like it was like for Christian Eriksen moment. I don't want to be like hyperbolic, but it felt like that because it was just so quick and emotionally. And then De Bruyne and Lukaku took over.
He didn't celebrate in honor of the Danish fans.
As
class act.
Soccer players will do that, which is awesome. But yeah, like you said, it's been going on chalky, and it'll probably keep going on chalky. So, but let's do some down bad stuff. So I'm caught down bad. Me.
Bring it to me.
Sergio Ramos is no longer on Real Madrid. As far back as I can remember, when I was watching Real Madrid regularly as a 15-year-old.
Do you want to do a moment of peace?
Sergio Ramos was on my team. Sergio Ramos has been my guy. He's an all-timer center back. He's just, he's
great tattoos.
Great tattoos. Bully on the field. If you didn't have him on your team, which there's only Sevilla and Real Madrid have ever had him on a team until wherever he goes off to next.
LA Galaxy.
You would hate him. Like, people hate him. People loathe him, and I get it. He'll slap you on and it's funny because I'll laugh. Like, I remember when fucking Barcelona beat us 5-0 in El Clasico. Sergio Ramos just fucking came around and fucking slapped. He was either Suarez. I think it was Suarez, which I'm always down for because fuck that guy because he's a racist. But there was somebody who Sergio just straight up openly slapped. There's nobody who has more red cards, who's got more yellow cards, and who looks at you like, what the fuck? Why? More than Sergio Ramos. He's been a part of my life for 15 years, and it sucks. Fuck Florentino Perez. He's a shitty fucking president anyways. And now it sucks because my two favorite people in Real Madrid history, Sergio Ramos and Zinedine Zidane, are no longer affiliated with the team. Sergio Ramos didn't want to go anywhere, but Florentino Perez and him argued about money. Florentino Perez argues with everybody, apparently. He's a giant fucking asshole.
He's the worst. What is
worst? Try to bring the Super League. Still tries to bring the Super League. Him and Zinedine Zidane don't get along. Him and Sergio Ramos don't get along. And it just, it's unfortunate. And I don't know.
If you're good at your job, Florentino Perez will not like you.
Yeah, exactly. If you win upwards of 15 trophies, it doesn't matter. It's like, what? This guy's an all-time center back.
A club that I'm a president for? Fuck off.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm just down bad, man. Like, he is my second favorite Real Madrid player of all time. Zidane is first, Ronaldo is third, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Then Brazil Ronaldo is four. It's just unfortunate. I'm so sad. I'm in mourning. I feel like I'm constantly in mourning this.
You're in Alonso
goddamn
mourning.
Sports season, huh?
You're in Alonso mourning.
Yeah, I'm in Alonso mourning. I am an Alonso in mourning. Holy fuck! Yeah. I get it. That's why. Shout out to my dad. Fuck, man. Yeah, that's it for today.
Oh, whoa.
What do we got?
Sons and Four, man.
Oh, we forgot Sons and Four. Sons and Four got tickets. That's Hall of Fame stuff. All right, yes. We got a Hall of Fame stuff. Sons and Four guy, which if we can you? I don't have my phone near me. If you have your phone near you, his Instagram is literally Sons and Four.
Is it really? What a fucking legend.
He now has an action figure. He got floor tickets to the game. Devin Booker tweeted out, somebody connect me with this dude. On Sons and Four Guys Instagram, you can see all the angles. There's an edit that shows all the angles of the fight. And you see the guy pouring beer on the Sons and Four guy.
How does he spell it?
Sons.in.4.
Okay.
36K. He has 36,000 followers now.
Oh, like Nick McKellar?
Nick McKellar. There you go. So shout out to him. He is gonna see the game courtside. He said on PMT, Sons and Four. So how it started.
Too white for the reflection.
Yeah. So he said that if Devin Booker got in contact with him on PMT, he said, I would want to get I would want to go to be able to do shoot around with the boys. Crazy ass. But he got
This is the
courtside.
first time I'm watching this full video. He really needed to beat these guys' asses.
He needed
By
to
the
beat
way, I
those
don't know if
guys'
you
asses.
saw them post that
Yes,
they
they
beat
did.
his ass.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say next. So the two dudes
I'm gonna
on
follow this guy right now.
yeah, the two dudes went on their live before this news broke down, and they were like, yeah, beat this motherfucker down, beat him good, and they just kept saying all this nonsense, and then they went viral, and then it's so hilarious that somehow one person saw that, went down and screen recorded it, because people are internet fluent. And somebody knew, like, I'm just going to screen record this. I don't know why. I don't know how. Somebody got it, and it's amazing. So that's the Hall of Fame stuff. Nick McKellar or whatever, Sons and Four guy. He has a action figure. Sons and Four guy.
Legend hero.
They're going to show him on TNT. Sons and Four guy. He's going to get up. He's going to erupt the crowd. It's just...
Take Kenny's spot, dude. Take Kenny's spot.
Yeah. Don't take Kenny's spot because I love Kenny.
Shaq?
Don't take anybody's spot.
Just make a fifth chair?
Be the Portland Trailblazer guy. You know what I'm talking about? With the guy that's always at the Portland Trailblazers games with the suit. They'll interview him.
No, I just know Clipper Darrell.
Oh, that guy's not a real fan.
Whoa.
He's not. You know, he was willing to give up his fandom to Memphis.
He's a Long Beach State guy.
Yeah, well, he said, if the Clippers don't give me better seats, I'm going to switch my fandom to the Grizzlies.
Why Memphis? That's for another next episode.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get fucking. We'll do an investigation on that. All right. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. That's for the people watching. Follow us on Spotify. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on Bry_Alonzo. You can follow John at __Avilas_ on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter there. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great weekend. I was going to say enjoy the show, but if you made it this far, you did. You got something to say?
Yeah, I just want to say, family, I'm going to tell you to watch and listen, and the number is 7. You need to tell me this number when I ask you if you listened or not.
Oh! That's good. I like that. Also, if you haven't already, you should listen to our series, Fast and Furious Countdown F9 on YouTube. You can check it there. We review every Fast and Furious movie until we get to F9 when we review that, and then on F10 we write F10. Full disclosure: we broke the story. We know the story. Okay, it happens in. I'll give you 3 hints: Amazon, mountains, family,
space. Yeah, there's the space in there.
Okay, we'll throw Amazon families. We're gonna figure out what to do with space and theme parks. That's 5 hints.
Yeah.
So there you go. Have a good one.